Okay, round two. I've actually just recorded this presentation, but it didn't save it. Okay, so my name's Jo Howell. I am a photographic artist based in Sunderland, and I'm one of the founding members of Save the National Glass Centre campaign. This presentation is about where we want to take the campaign, and we are considering setting up a community interest company called Glass Action 674. So it would be a community interest company to save the National Glass Centre and glassmaking in St Peter's Ward, so where it is now. And we will formally be known as Save the National Glass Centre campaign. I'm just going to skip through a couple of these because I really have to do this quite fast. I don't want to have to do it again. So 2024 marks 1350 years of glass making on the River Wear. So we have 1350 years of glassmaking heritage right here. Here is a little timeline which talks about, well, that last 1350 years. So before 674 AD, we did have glass in the UK, but we weren't making it. They were bringing it from different provinces in Rome. And then in 674 AD, Benedict Biscop had been on several trips to Rome and he had seen the stone churches, and he decided that he was going to bring that concept over to Sunderland. So, as well as stonemasons, he also brought glaziers to make glass for the church. And then he set about building the twin monasteries of St. Peter's and St. Paul's. Fast forward to 1697, Weir Flint Glassworks was set up and it opens in Southwick. And it was opened by the founder of Sunderland Company of Glassmakers. So there was still glassmaking going on, but this is where our big companies start to appear. 1857, Mr. Henry Greener. Mr. Henry Greener and his partner, Mr. James Angus, take over Weir Flint Glassworks and register their first design on the 21st of December 1858. In 1867, commemorative glass. Many of the registrations for Weir Flint Glassworks were plates commemorating different events or tragedies. Then in 1875, the Trademark Registration Act shows that there were lots of designs for tableware and glassware registered under the company's new name, Greener and Co. Fast forward to 1902, the appointment of Jobling Purser. So Jobling Purser began by revitalising the company with an investment programme, presumably funded by his uncle, and he was using technology from the USA and Germany. Then 1921, Corning Limited and Pyrex, you might have heard of those two names. Corning Glass Company had the license to manufacture and market Pyrex, which is heat-resistant glassware, in Great Britain and the wider empire, including Canada. Then in 1932, Art Deco glass was being created by Joblings in Sunderland, and it was inspired by Lalique. In 1949, Ernest Jobling Purser sold the company to Pilkington Brothers, which again is another name in glass that's probably important right now. Pilkington sold 60% of the shares to Thomas Tilling and later 40% to Corning. Then, throughout that time, we had a Pyrex factory, we had different satellite glass making entities like Hartley Woods. And then in 1998, the National Glass Centre was opened by Prince Charles, obviously now our king, and we were given an award-winning building to celebrate and conserve our history in glass. So it was really important when it opened. It was on the back of the coal mines and the shipbuilding all being closed down and taken away. So essentially, it was the last remaining part of our heritage and culture that we were allowed to hold on to. And unfortunately, fast forward to 2023, and the uni has announced closure, with the course set to be closed in 2024. So glassmaking obviously started in 674 AD as part of the Christian Enlightenment, and Benedict Biscop brought those glaziers from Gaul to make glass for the churches at the twin monasteries of St. Paul's and St. Peter's. So we've got a very definitive date there. It's chronicled. Art Deco glass was being made in the 1930s, and these are some photographs that I've taken from Sunderland Museum collection. They are in the style of Lalique, using an opalescence type of glass. These photographs are from Sunderland Museum's collection. Here I've included a small box that has demonstrations of the Saxon chronicles and illuminations that were written by Bede and his contemporaries. And then we have a special edition Pyrex dish from 1974, 50 years ago, which is celebrating the 1300 years of glass in the area. Skip on to 2022, and we were celebrating Pyrex 100, which is 100 years of Pyrex in the area. And we were doing this by engaging people to share their oral histories and to bring their collections of Pyrex to us, to me, to photograph. And this was a lovely project that was ran by Sunderland Culture, Sunderland Museum, and the National Glass Centre. Sunderland's proud heritage in glassmaking is still very much alive and well in the 21st century, and I think that little project probably illustrates that. So in 2022, the Arts Council supported this project, Pyrex 100, which was about collecting memories from people who were connected with Pyrex in the city. And it was really interesting because I got access to the museum collections and was able to scan a lot of the publications from back then. So this image is actually from 2007 with the closure of the Pyrex factory itself. Social heritage and cultural heritage obviously walk hand in hand, and women in the workplace was something that was happening all the time in Pyrex. We only really got into the workplace in the shipyards through World War II and having not enough blokes to do the jobs. But Pyrex was always employing women to do applications of the designs to the glass, as well as in administration and such like that. Another really important part to remember is that glass is also a technology, and it has a lot to do with optics and how humanity is able to see itself and the rest of the world. So our telescopes, our solar panels, there's so many different things that have glass components, and really we're going to need further research into that as we go on into the future. We don't want to use plastic, we want to use glass. So glass heritage means the world to the local community. This is a photograph of a glass blower holding a tiny quart bottle of baby milk, and obviously he's holding it almost like he would cherish a little baby. And I just think that is quite an eloquent way to talk about how important and cherished our whole heritage is in Sunderland. So, okay, Pyrex 100 celebration was a triumph, and obviously you can see here there was lots of people who were being recorded and celebrated. There were films being made, there were photographs being taken, there was food being made. So interestingly, they decided that they were going to create recipes from the international community, but they were going to use Pyrex dishes as a contemporary act of community cohesion. So the idea being you would make this stuff in Pyrex and then you would share it. And, we would find out about the international citizens in Sunderland, and they could find out about us and the place where they live. Glassmaking is Sunderland's unique selling point. Sunderland has had glassmaking on the banks of the Wey since 674 AD. 1350 years this year. You just cannot erase that. So far, we've had over 35,000 people sign petitions, both online and on paper. And it's worth noting that there are usually 230,000 visitors to the centre each year. Sunderland isn't on the way to anywhere, so you have to intend to come here. And having 250,000, close enough, people coming to visit this area is not to be sniffed at either. So what does the National Glass Centre have already? It has 27 years of national and international prestige in glassmaking and studio glass. It's a purpose-built building to withstand heat stress. It's probably been a little bit in decline, but that's part of the plan to fix it up. It's an iconic 20th century example of architecture. A thriving creative and artisan community has grown around this centre. It has space with lots of bright, usable areas for people to be in. It has a riverfront view. It has proximity to the dock. So if we're needing to have really large imports of glass cullet, then that's very easy to organise. It has world-class facilities that people are using. There's also the cafe and the shop. Every day there are glass blowing demonstrations, and these are really, really well attended. There are tenant artists who hire studios in the National Glass Centre, educational areas for teaching, conference areas for events, a contemporary art gallery, the National Gallery for Contemporary Art, I forgot there, and a glass art gallery, obviously. There's also a history display. There are unique opportunities for artists that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. Free public access, outreach programs, so things like inviting schools to come and do projects, or veterans, people with mental health illnesses, people with special educational needs. There is stuff there for everybody. There are really good research facilities, and because of all of this provision, there's also lots of peers who you can learn from and bounce off. The making facilities pretty much aren't available anywhere else in the country, and ultimately it has the love and support of the local community. Income streams that we'd be looking to explore would be events, music, film festivals, the Biennale, weddings, conferences, seminars, exhibitions, parties, history and heritage days. We could do community cooking sessions using Pyrex, have unique collections of art and historical glass on display, have an online archive and an online shop, because that could be quite a little income stream. Masterclasses for skilled artisans, equipment hire, commissions, research, science glass, technology crossovers, teaching and education symposiums, green technology symposiums, community access to the collections, curatorships, residencies, TV shows, and live streaming capabilities. In 2024, we should be live streaming our blown demonstrations, and that would be a very simple way of raising awareness and also money. Crowdfunding and business collaborations and networks. In terms of education, this has provided access for working class students to culture and art. So new relationships should be forged with local education entities like Sunderland Culture and the Northern School of Art to explore outreach degrees or courses that can be delivered at the National Glass Centre. So this will help us to ensure the future of glassblowing and glassmaking in the region, and to cement the National Glass Centre as the centre of new developments in glass. So the project goals and objectives: we form Glass Action 674 with the objective of raising enough awareness of this current situation to bring the National Glass Centre into community ownership, because we believe that Sunderland University shouldn't have to bear the burden of Sunderland's glass heritage anymore. I say burden because that's what they said in the letter to us. So we propose that the community takes back our glass heritage and the building to make full use of the fantastic cultural asset that we already have. We believe that the income streams we've demonstrated can be added to the current offer, and that there are many opportunities for the enterprise to become a flagship model for greener glass production across the world. So we've got the perfect vehicle to be globally facing even more. Embrace the change to stay ahead. Talent and business. It's easy to build an amazing reputation, and it's much harder to start from the ground floor up. So since 1998, we've been a building with a global reputation for excellence in glass. The facilities are known across the world, and many professional artists have started their careers in Sunderland. The added bonus of our 1350-year heritage in glassmaking only adds to the atmosphere of prestige and excellence. So whilst also enabling upward social mobility for working class people like me in the city, it also helps us to understand what a deindustrialized future might look like. So talent, Anthony Amako, a Ghanaian artist who's currently winning awards all over the place, absolutely fantastic, has stayed and kept close ties with the people in Sunderland. On the left-hand side, we have Carolyn Basing's artwork, who is one of the founding members of Save the National Glass Centre campaign as well. And she's also a tenanted artist in the National Glass Centre. On the right-hand side, we have an example of Philip Vickery's blown glass artwork. And Philip Vickery is an international award-winning artist who, again, has decided to stay in Sunderland because of the facilities and the access that it provides currently. So implementation strategy, some of these bits are a little bit sketchy, but I think, it's something to work upon. We need to invest in knowledge and training. To turn the tide upon the current bias that the University of Sunderland has to close the National Glass Centre and then eventually demolish the building, we need to really change people's minds and get them to understand that that's an absolutely savage waste of resources and we shouldn't do it. We need to update the building and provide green technology alternatives, which will help us to adjust for the really high energy consumption. Obviously, I've said before, I think that this is about creating a flagship space for technological innovations in glassmaking. The National Glass Centre is perfectly situated on the river to take full advantage of lots of different energy schemes. So because of the riverfront, you can have tidal energy, you could have wind energy, and you could have solar energy, you could have a heat exchange. There's lots of different technologies that are out now that could have a real dramatic effect for making this more sustainable for the future. So the strategy is essentially use the kudos that the National Glass Centre has already attracted over its time since 1998 by maximising all of the potential revenue streams and creating a new efficiency strategy. It's really, really simple. The bare bones of everything is already there. It just needs to be capitalised on. So the shops, the facilities, the run of the building costs are obviously extremely high due to energy usage, but this will be the best way to do a flagship, because basically you're like, yeah, this is really hard. It's a very difficult situation, but it's not impossible because we're engineers and innovators. So we'll take all of the very best parts and we'll make them better. And then we'll address the parts that have not really been used to the best advantage and make them the best that they can be. Know your competition, but focus on your vision. All right, just quickly going across all of the different support we've received across social media. Save the National Glass Centre has more than 35,000 signatures on the online petition and paper petitions. This comes from over 78 different countries. And interestingly, more than a third of the supporters are actually from the Northeast region. So that's really, really interesting. This demonstrates a local, national and international movement for support of the institution. I don't think you can get any better than that. We have a free website and blog because obviously we're little volunteers. There's no money behind this. It's just what we've been able to do through sheer love and gritting of teeth. Our free website and blog shows that there's really good engagement with the course, that there are people across the world sharing their concern about the state of the arts in the UK. And the National Glass Centre, as a cherished organisation, is essentially seen as a symptom of that wider problem of cultural erosion. Just a couple more little bits from our social media. We do have a YouTube, we have a blog, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have an X. So do go there and share and let us know what you think and what you feel. So, in conclusion, the local and global community have made an exceptional case for the retention of the National Glass Centre in the city and in its current format. It needs investment, and it will once again be the jewel in the crown of not only Sunderland, but the UK glass industry as a whole. So, in a time of terrible decisions by governments and executives alike, we cannot abandon our culture to the whims of a land grab floundering university. It's too dangerous. Thanks for staying with us for this long. Let's hope I don't have to record this again.